Nick here from Tiny Wood Stove, and we're going to be talking all about firewood. It's a beautiful fall day here in North Idaho, and I'm about to wrap up our firewood for the season. The wood shed's just about full. We got a couple firewood caches that were getting filled up. We had a windstorm the other day and had a couple trees fall down. So we're going to get those cut up, processed, chopped, and put in the shed. So let's go get some firewood. So our home is a 560 square foot tiny house. It had axles on it. We pulled them off. It's kind of on a pier foundation. We built a deck around it. We're completely off grid. Our Dwarf 5 kilowatt stove is our sole source of heat. Our woodshed here is roughly a cord. That's roughly what we burn a year is about a cord. So we're standing on a little access road that goes behind our spring, and we have a tree that fell down in a windstorm. Like I said, we have 5 acres and we have quite a few standing dead snags that are dry and great for firewood. So I'm going to get this out of my way, and while I'm doing it, I'm going to process it and we're going to add it to the woodshed. It looks really dry, doesn't look too rotted, so there might be some rotting pieces maybe a little down lower, but I think we can get some really good logs out of this. First, we want to do a little safety. I'm going to have some ear protection, throw some gloves on, throw these sweet chaps on. I have 2 saws that I use. I have a gas Husqvarna saw, and then I just recently got a DeWalt electric saw. And the little electric saw is amazing. Really surprised. We have a lot of other DeWalt tools, so we had these batteries laying around, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna give that a try for clearing trails. But I have actually used it for processing most of our firewood for this winter. This is a 12-inch bar. We got a 5 amp hour battery. This lasts surprisingly long, and you put bar oil in it and you cut. I'm going to take off the limbs. So the branches, I'll just gonna pile up. I got a wood chipper for compost right here. So we use the chipper for processing stuff that we cut off firewood. Also, as I chop the firewood, the bark usually comes off, and I usually sling that through the chipper as well. We let the wood chips set and kind of decompose before adding it to gardens or compost or stuff like that. So I might use my gas saw to chunk this up because it's just a little faster. So I like to cut the wood up into obviously chunks that fit inside our wood stove. This is a little short, but I can chop it up into kindling. But its ideal length is 8 to 10 inches. So traditional firewood rounds, when I buy firewood, I'll cut it into thirds. So 16, 18-inch rounds, and I'll cut it into thirds, and then make splitting really, really easy. So now that I got this kind of chunked up, we're gonna consolidate it here, and I'm gonna show you the strapping method I like to use for chopping. So firewood is a lot of work, and ideally you wanna make it as easy as possible. This probably looks familiar because this is how a lot of people process their firewood. Put it up on a block, give it a chop, bend over, put another piece. The problem with this is every time I whack it, I got to bend over and pick up if I want to split that again. These are small pieces, so it's not a huge deal, but do this all day and that sucks. So that's where I like the strapping method. So most softwoods have approximately 15 to 18,000 BTU per cord. The wood that has the most BTU is Osage orange, which I grew up in Kansas and there's a crap ton of it there. Anyway, they're like 30,000 BTU per cord. You want to use the highest BTU you can because that's more heat for roughly the same size of wood. So it's just denser. So I generally like to get a little bit larger of a bundle, maybe double this size. This will work. And then the trick is not to cut your strap. So I'm going to put it down low. We're going to do a firewood chopping battle. Over here we got 8 chunks for the strapping method. Over here we got 8 smaller chunks for the, we'll call this the standard method. Rules of the battle, I'm going to cut each one at least 2 times. Might do it a few more on this, but with this one I'm going to cut it in half and then each of those in half again. So each one's going to be split into fourths. Let's get to it.
Ready, fight!
These bigger ones are... I am a huge fan of the Fisker's line of, this is the splitting axe, this is the X25. I have the hatchet, which my son loves, and it's great for kindling. And then we have a smaller axe that's not the splitting axe that has the wedge. With this type of axe and this small, you can just whiz right through it, which is a benefit of having a small wood stove. So over here we have a pile where we just put snags that fall down or stuff that we drag out of the woods, and I just kind of chunked it up. And my plan is to, we got a pile of pallets over here, and to take some of these pallets and some hog fencing or cow fencing and make little half cord firewood caches. So we could take excess and we could stack it in there. It's the stuff that's not perfectly cured. I could stack it in there, put a piece of tin over it, and let it sit for another season. One, we have some backup, and we have stuff for the next season, a little buffer, but also it's curing and ready for next season we want to use it. So when you're chopping wood, you can tell if the wood is ready to burn. I can tell by just swinging the axe at it. So this piece, as I hit it, it's still a little bit wet. Pieces like this, you swing at it and it just has like a cracking sound. That some people will take logs and just whack it together, where if it's a wet piece, you'll knock it together, it'll be kind of a thud. So to get the cleanest and hottest fires, you want to burn cured wood. Cured wood is moisture content between 15 and 20%. If I was to go down and just chop down a tree and take a reading on it, it could be upwards of 50% water. So half the weight of the tree is prospectively water. and water puts out fires. You want it to be cured and dry. So the best way to do that is, I guess, or the most accurate, is with a moisture meter. And a moisture meter, you want to chop the wood, and then you want to take readings from the inside of the log. So we're under 15%. This would be, you know, decent to burn. My woodshed is about half full right now, and that's about how much I had last year. I bought a half a cord of tamarack and chopped that, put it in the shed, and then we ran out probably, I don't know, we had about a month and a half left of cold weather, which left me scrambling. I was like hacking up pallet wood and set up my chop saw on the deck and was like cutting it into chunks, and often would wake up and be like, oh shoot, what are we gonna burn? And just kind of scrounging stuff up, or going to the little farm co-op and getting more of the compressed logs. So this year, my goal is to fill my woodshed completely up, plus have a couple more of those little firewood, cattle fencing caches, half a cord, a couple of those sitting on reserve, plus have a pallet of the North Idaho Energy logs for overnight burn. So that's how I, as quickly as possible, process firewood. There's lots of ways to process firewood. Some people like to, instead of using a strap, maybe put it in a tire. I like the strap because it's small and portable, and you can do any size bundle of wood. You know, you could do bundles 2 to 3 times the size that I did. So it's just super handy. You just want to make sure to keep that strap low so you don't chop it. If you want to see our tiny wood stove in action and how we get a full overnight burn, check out the video here. If you have any tips or tricks on how you process firewood, would love to read them. So comment below. Thanks for watching.